Could J.J. McCarthy actually be drafted inside the top 10, and why this could be the deepest free agent running back class in history? We're going through it all in the Roundup. Matthew Freedman put up his second mock draft of the season, and you will not believe where he has J.J. McCarthy going. Let's take a look. All right, since we are Fantasy Life, we're going to be going through the players that could most impact fantasy football for 2024. And just a reminder, you can go and read the full mock draft from Matthew Freedman at fantasylife.com. It is 100% free, so make sure you go and check it out. Now, let's dive in. Of course, 1, 2, 3, we've got quarterbacks going off the board. Caleb Williams going to the Bears. Then we have Jaden Daniels going to the Commanders and Drake May going to the Patriots. The interesting thing here is, if you haven't heard of Caleb Williams, you're going to be hearing a lot about him in the next few weeks. He is the favorite to go number 1 overall to the Bears. The more interesting thing here, though, is Drake May going 3 to the Patriots. In Matthew Freedman's last mock draft, he actually had him going number 2 to the Washington Commanders. But in this mock draft, he has flipped them and said he likes Jaden Daniels' odds at plus 155 over on FanDuel to be the 2nd overall pick. So if you think it's a coin flip, maybe you go in that direction, but that's just something that I wanted to point out to you guys. Next up, we have the best wide receiver prospect in the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Arizona Cardinals at 4. This is where most people have him mocked right now, linking up with Kyler Murray. We'll see what the Arizona Cardinals do with Marquise Brown in free agency, but this seems like a really, really good fit for him. And then we've got the Chargers drafting tight end Brock Bowers. We have the Giants taking Malik Neighbors at number 6. The one thing about the Chargers taking Brock Bowers, Freedman wrote that he is a natural fit for this Greg Roman offense. I think the other thing that I want to mention with Brock Bowers is that he is going to be a good fit wherever he lands, especially in fantasy. He's going to be an impact player, so he is definitely someone to watch out for. Next up, we have Rome Odunze going to the Bears. We always say, hey, if they're not going to be with Justin Fields, get a little bit more help. We know that they have DJ Moore, but again, they are in such a great position to reshape this offense. So Rome Odunze from Washington going there. The one that I want to highlight here too, Broncos taking J.J. McCarthy, quarterback at number 12. We know the Denver Broncos are going to part ways with Russell Wilson here soon. It's bad blood. It doesn't look great, but where they go to get another quarterback, is it going to be free agency? Is it going to be the draft? In his last mock draft, Matthew Freedman had Bo Nix going to the Denver Broncos here at 12. Now he's changed his mind. J.J. McCarthy is going up draft boards in a lot of different places, so just something to watch out for here. J.J. McCarthy to the Broncos. Again, fantasylife.com is where you can go and read the full mock draft from Matthew Freedman. We got some pretty big free agency news this week, so let's look into why this could be the deepest free agent running back class in history. This could be one of the deepest free agent running back classes that we have seen in the history of the NFL. But before we get into some of those names, let's go through the news that we got earlier this week from Adam Schefter. The Las Vegas Raiders are hoping to re-sign Josh Jacobs, but they are not going to place the franchise tag on him, which is huge news. Now, if we look at the other free agent running backs in this class, we can see that for fantasy football purposes, this could be big depending on where they land. They have 5 running backs who delivered top 10 fantasy football finishes in the last 2 seasons. The names are Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and Tony Pollard. Now, if you want to see how these guys are ranked, this is from Dwayne McFarland, and we can see up here, he has it Saquon Barkley 1, Josh Jacobs 2, Tony Pollard 3, DeAndre Swift number 4, Derrick Henry 5, and Austin Eckler sitting at number 6. Now, if we look at some more of these names, we know that other teams are kind of going to be following or have already said that they are going to do what the Las Vegas Raiders are doing, which is not franchise tag their running backs. We've already seen it with Tony Pollard per Adam Schefter. He said that they do not plan to use the franchise tag on him. Austin Eckler and the Los Angeles Chargers, they are going to let him explore free agency. We can't expect a franchise tag for Derrick Henry. Saquon Barkley is in talks with the New York Giants, but it is trending in the direction that they will also not franchise tag him. So this could be a huge offseason for these running backs, and that's not to mention other names like A.J. Dillon, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary. So we could see huge running back free agent moves in the season, and that is seriously going to impact fantasy football depending on where these guys land. Of course, we're really going to be keeping an eye on Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, the top 2 guys in this free agent running back class, but all these other ones are also going to have big ripple effects in the fantasy football community. Let's go through the top Dynasty prospects for 2024. Jonathan Fuller did a great write-up of the top 10 Dynasty prospects for 2024 at fantasylife.com. So if you want to read the full article, make sure you head over there. It is 100% free. I want to go through his top 3 Dynasty prospects with you guys, though. Starting at number 3, tight end out of Georgia, Brock Bowers, who we kind of already talked about. Matthew Freedman had him mocked to the Los Angeles Chargers, but let's dive a little bit deeper. I want to say that he was productive all 3 seasons that he played at Georgia, but the one thing that I want to point out here from Jonathan Fuller is that he has the ability to win both as a vertical threat as well as a possession receiver. And I think that is key here, because when we look at Brock Bowers, he is really expected to be a top 10 draft pick. So when we see that, he is going to be a difference maker no matter what team he lands on, and also for fantasy football purposes. So make sure you keep that in mind. But at number 3, we do have Brock Bowers, the tight end. Now let's go to number 2, and that's going to be Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from LSU. And this is really a fun one, because when we look at the profile from Malik Neighbors, he's a little bit shorter than Marvin Harrison Jr., who we're going to talk about in a little bit, but he is the most explosive player in this class. And I think that's a fun point out from Jonathan Fuller. He said he is also maybe his favorite wide receiver to watch in this class. So when we look at his production profile, he ended the 2023 regular season with the most receiving yards in college football and the second best yards per route run, which is key here. So when we look at what he could do in the NFL, you should look at him as an impact player. Someone, again, that right away will make a difference. It does not matter where he lands, because he is just that good. He expects him to be a superstar of the NFL Combine that is happening this week. So make sure you keep an eye out for Malik Neighbors, the number 2 Dynasty prospect for Jonathan Fuller. And of course, at number 1, just kind of like how we talked about at the quarterback position, you're going to know this guy's name. It is Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. Just an incredible player. We can go through the stats if you want. Over the past 2 seasons in college football, top 1,200 receiving yards, 14 touchdowns, just an incredible, incredible athlete and an incredible wide receiver that's going to, again, we use the word impact a lot, but he is going to make an impact right away for the NFL and in fantasy football. So when you're looking at Marvin Harrison Jr., he is pro ready. Jonathan Fuller even said he might be the most pro ready out of Ohio State ever. So that's another key right there. But when we look at the finishing touches with him, it's going to be a surprise if he doesn't go top 5. We kind of talked about it with Matthew Freedman's mock draft. He had him going to the Arizona Cardinals, so we can expect him to be in that top 5 overall pick range. He's going to be someone that you want to get your hands on in Dynasty. He is the real deal. He is a superstar. He is elite, so make sure you go out and get him. As always, thank you so much for watching the Roundup. Make sure you go to fantasylife.com. That is where you can find all of our free agency previews, our mock drafts, and everything in between that you need to know for this offseason. fantasylife.com. We'll see you next time.